Okay, here we go. I know what you can do. Don't let me down.
Anthony Davidson is here once again for today's Grand Prix.
Hello and welcome everyone to GRL tonight for what will be round number 3 of the calendar. I'm gonna obviously start streaming a little bit early because we are running a little bit late overall. But tonight we'll be racing, or this evening we'll be racing at the Autodromo Jose Carlos Pace, which is based in Sao Paulo, Brazil. So should be a decent race event, hopefully. This is the casual division. In terms of the drivers, we'll go through them quickly, one by one. So far, the drivers that are sort of here, just tell you the drivers that I know, sort of thing, from the league, well, from league racing experience. So Divine Eye, a very quick driver. He is certainly going to be one of the top standout drivers, I suspect, tonight, or well, this evening. Haytham, he's a very decent driver as well. Another driver I think we can certainly watch out for during this event. I am Marshall. He's a pretty solid driver as well. Raced against him on one or two occasions. And then you got Chartman. He's the only other driver I really know. Also, Raman. He's had a pretty few good results this season. And from what I've seen of him, he'll certainly be someone to watch overall. But yeah, the Jose Autodromo, or the Autodromo Jose Pace, Carlos Pace. Obviously, I think it's one of the more shorter tracks on the Formula One calendar overall. 1 minute 7 lap times, 1 minute 8. So closer to the lap times of like Canada, Austria. So obviously, in terms of the field spread, I doubt there'll be anything really within it, sort of thing. So yeah, should be an enjoyable race, hopefully. And we've got 16 drivers, so a pretty full lobby for this one, which is very nice and great to see, of course, overall. So, yeah, we're just literally waiting now for the drivers to ready up. So, yeah, until that sort of happens, I'm just going to go back on to mute and basically just wait. Sound as a pound. So here we go then for round number 3 then of the season of the casual division, and we've got 15 drivers then for this for this session this evening, and hopefully will be a very good session, and hopefully a session that will be also error free sort of thing, if you know what I mean, because the game has had a few bugs recently as of late, so hopefully that there won't be too many bugs or problems tonight in terms of, for everyone's sake, sort of thing. So yeah, so we're just literally waiting for everyone to load up, and then here we go for round number 3 of the season at the Jose Carlos Pace, obviously, circuit, which is based out in Brazil, in Sao Paulo. Obviously, the Portuguese-speaking or the Brazilian-speaking country of Brazil. That's, I think, the most common language in Brazil. It's pretty sure it's Portuguese overall. But yeah, waiting for the drivers to come out of the out of the garages for what will be the start of qualifying. Qualifying has started overall, and who is the first out? It is Marshall then. Marshall is the first driver onto the track, as he immediately going out on the soft tyres. Of course, he's not going to go out on the hards or the mediums. But, yep, he is the first driver onto the track then for this qualifying session. And he will be the first driver to do a lap here then, overall. So, yeah, not sure why that ain't working. Maybe that'll work in a minute. Anyway, let's get up all our stuff. So, the stuff that I like to see, really. I love to see basically what gears people are in, what ERS they're using, because I think that makes a bit of interest ultimately. And Marshall is on a bit of a slow out lap compared to what certainly I would be doing. First one out, but doesn't seem to be keen on being the first one around to start his lap. So obviously, maybe that was a bit unintentionally the first one out there, potentially. As Danny then will come around and will start his lap. No, he won't, because the Red Bull of Skirint does, I think. Skiriant, Sirinkant, or I don't know. Or I'll just call him Daz. Daz then is on a lap then here in his Red Bull down into turn 1. Then he goes third gear into the Senna S's. I'm pretty sure these are the Senna S's. Then through turns 1, 2 and 3 quite nicely. Keeps the car pretty nicely hooked. Not making any errors. Doesn't invalidate. Very easy to invalidate through here. Down into 4th gear. Gets the car nicely hooked actually through there. Nicely up into 5th on the exit of turn 4. And then up the hill into turns 6. Then through 7. Then into 8, and then get the car slowed down. This is certainly a corner where you've got to have a good car rotation, and this is now the more technical part of the lap, where you just want to have a bit more car rotation overall on the lap, and just, get the car, well, it's sort of like a stop, start, go section of the track then, and then you come back into the more like lower downforce circuit, or part of the circuit, and it's now just really put to the floor, up through the hills, and then across the line. Take the shortest run to the line, least line of rolling resistance, and across the line does a 1.93. So not a bad first lap, as Williams driver of Danny doesn't beat it. Then let's see what Jolly can do. I think he's coming around. He'll be the first McLaren of the two, because I think Marshall's made a mistake, or maybe he's going for a double warm-up lap, so Harsh has beaten that. of a 1-8, and Jolly goes currently now 5th. So, right, is Iron Marshall on a lap? No, he isn't. Alright, I am watching the right one. Yep, good. Thought I was watching the wrong McLaren. Right, let's see what Chartman can do. Chartman, you know, been struggling with the setups as of late, but, you know, I'm sure he will get there. He was pretty decent on the last game. You know, he's been pretty decent on most of the games overall. So, you know, I'm pretty sure Chartman will get there. He is driving, I think, later on potentially tonight in the Division 1 tier. So that'll be interesting to see what he can do in both of these 2 tiers today. Will he reserve some of his energy for later on tonight? Who knows? Probably not. You know, it's Chartman. He obviously will always push. And sadly invalidates, talking of pushing, sadly invalidated, pushing the limits a bit too far there. As his teammate, Divine, is on a decent lap. Divine's a very quick driver, actually, to be fair. You know, one of the top tier drivers in Phoenix Racing, which is Chartman's league. So, you know, across the line, he will come and goes P6 with a 199. So not a bad lap for Divine to go P6. Obviously, the AlphaTauri driver is so far currently top with a 188. Pretty much dead, so Scorito currently is your pole sitter, followed by Hash and Ramen in 3rd, with the Red Bull Das in 4th. Anton 5th so far, Just No Man is 6th, Divine 7th, Danny 8th, Jolly is 9th, and Iron Marshall is in 10th. Currently, those are your top 10 people who have only set a lap at the moment. As I think Wayne could be on a lap here now, so we'll see what Wayne can do. Keeps a very nice short line out of turn number 3, and does a 79 for first sector, so pretty sure that's a decent first sector. A bit, though, wide out there, and I think he's invalidated, so yeah, that'll be his lap over. Let's see what Haytham can do. Haytham, obviously a Nomex driver, plus obviously a GRL driver. So Haytham is currently on a lap 53 for the middle sector, so this probably isn't going to be like top part of the grid, but I'd imagine probably be into the 9s here, maybe even into the 10s, and it's a 110.3, currently good enough for 10th position right now. So, right, that is so far your top 10 then currently, so far. And Sparden the Gamer, I think that's correct, or Spandon. Does it have a R or does it have a A? Pretty sure it's a A. Spandon the Gamer then. We'll just call him the Gamer. The Gamer then is currently coming around in his Mercedes. That's the black and green Mercedes. Do love that black Mercedes livery since it was ever introduced back to Formula 1 in 2020, and he will take the shortest run into the line. Thought he was going to come into the pits there and goes P10 then. So pretty sure everyone's first round of like qualifying laps should be done. So yeah, pretty sure that's everyone's first round of qualifying laps done, dusted and over. Not really sure if there's anyone else besides maybe Wayne here, who's on a lap now, and this will be good enough to go 7th. So a very decent lap from him to get up into the top 7. And you know, currently there's only a second between Iron Marshall and the pole sitter here, which is in currently first. Of course, the pole sitter is first, but yeah, Iron Marshall's 8th, pole sitter's first of Scorito, the AlphaTauri. So currently a second between them. Obviously, Iron Marshall will be looking probably to close that down here on that, well, on his second flying lap, I presume. I'm not sure, is that the same set of tyres it is. I think he's done 4 laps on that set, so that is pretty big, like running on that single set. And if he is on the same set, he's getting actually amazing pace out of those tyres, which I'm quite impressed with. 4 laps of pushing. Obviously, he's probably done a cool lap, in lap sort of thing, and goes up to 6th. So Marshall could be one to watch if he gets a new set of tyres on. I'm not really too sure where he will end up, but we're now seeing some faster lap times come in, and the order's really getting shaken up now. Where can Harsh go? He's on an outlap, is he? I'm not really too sure. I think he's just crossed the line now to start a new flying lap. So yeah, I think he's on now a flying lap here. So I think he was on an outlap. So we'll soon find out. Anyway, let's see what his first sector says. And Harsh is certainly one of the drivers in the hunt for pole, and is a 10th up in the first sector. So that's pretty decent, solid work for the first actual sector. Then, as he'll keep his foot flat to the floor through turns 7 and 8 into 9, then down through 10, and then up through 11. I'm pretty sure this is 11. I could be wrong. I'm pretty sure there's only 14 corners to this track. I'll have to recount later on tonight. I'm not really too bloody sure how many corners there are. There's 1, 2, 3, 4. We'll count that in a minute. Right. Oh dear, that's a big one overall, and really has ruined his lap for Harsher. That's proper disappointment. As he was on a real good lap. He was about 2 tenths up, so that would have put him currently in provisional pole for now, but yeah, Scarito is going to now be the next one on a lap here for the AlphaTauri driver, and he is the current pole sitter. So we're going to count also, whilst we're on board with him, how many corners there are, because I'm pretty sure there's 14. So we'll soon see. I could be wrong, Right, 1, 2. So this is turn 2, 3, then down the second straight through the center S's. I'm pretty sure they are the center S's. Opens up the rear wing, as you can see, and is a 10th up on the delta through turn 4, then into 5, then up the hill towards turn 6. Then I count this as turn 7, even though it is one swooping right-hander, into turn 8, down through 9. I might be wrong, might be 13. Then through 10 into 11. Then I would count that as 10 and 11, even though it's only a kink, still a corner. Through 12, keeps foot nice, and is still a 10th up on the delta, so pretty nice improvement as Rahman goes to the top, but I think this will displace him through 13, and I'm pretty sure that's 14, and then this is 15 now. That little kink there, not really too sure whether you'd count that as a corner or not, but that is a brilliant lap from Scarito to go back to the top, and is now less than about 40 thousandths clear. I think it's about 53,000, 0.053, yeah, 53 thousandths clear. I'm pretty sure he's at the top of the times there from Rahman, who's in the Red Bull. Obviously, we know Harsh has a bit more time to come in his car. So, yeah, he'll be someone to watch. And Wiki, is also in the hunt here. So there's a few drivers in the hunt for pole. You can't also discount currently drivers like Ian Marshall, Haytham, or even Chartman, because these drivers are only, literally a second back. Currently the top 10 is covered by less than a second in lap time at the moment. In fact, the top 11 is covered by less than a second. So, yeah, the top 11 from Scarito down to Chartman is covered by less than a second in lap time. As Ivy Waffle then, haven't seen him do a lap today, but we will watch him now. I'm not really sure who was the driver that had the issue earlier on with Harsh, because that ruined Harsh's lap. I'm not sure whether it was Ivy Waffle or Pear Bisa. I'm pretty sure Besa. But yeah, Per Bisa or Besa, his teammate's called. But anyway, Ivy Waffle is about to start a lap then here at Brazil, and his first lap time was a 9.3. So he's certainly one of the drivers that could be in the hunt for pole if he improves by enough. Obviously, currently we need about a 7 to 8 tenths improvement to go pole, and currently matches the first sector. So currently is only matching right now the times out there. I'm pretty sure that's matching his first sector. So currently he's matched his own first sector as he then goes into the more, as I say, technical part of the circuit. This is where all, you spend most of the lap actually. This is where all the time can be won and lost realistically, in truth, because you spend a lot more time in a slower speed corner than you do in the high speed. So through the final last real turn on the track, up towards the hill, where will this put him? Can he get into the top 6? Can he challenge for pole? He's taken the shortest run to the line, keeps to the left, and currently goes into the top 3. So that is a very solid lap from Ivy Whiffle then there to get top 3. And ultimately, will he stay there? Who knows? We'll soon find out. There's certainly some very quick drivers behind him, like Harsh here, who was actually about 2 tenths up on his lap. But overall, Harsh was got basically impeded and crashed, and that was then his lap time out the window. But if he improves by 2 tenths, it roughly puts him in the ballpark of where he needs to be in terms of certainly for top 3, and if not top 3, then for the pole position today in this casual division. So here we go then, on a lap with with Harsh, the Williams driver. Ivy Whiffle did a good lap though, obviously giving Ivy good compliments, I hope. Anyway, through then turns 1, 2 and 3, opens up the DRS, then keeps to the left, and obviously that's the line usually I run as well around here, and he's 2 tenths up, so this is certainly going to be a good lap hopefully. So long no one gets in his way like the lap before. There is a bit of traffic though up ahead of him on the mini-map, having a look at it. Hopefully these drivers won't get into Harsh's way, and they stay nicely out of the way, as the Hasberg does get out of the way quite nicely, but shouldn't be now too much affected. Only the Red Bull to deal with, and hopefully the Red Bull gets out of the way. Then here, 4 tenths up, so this is a flying lap, absolutely. This could be into the 108.5s. Then here, for Harsh, for the Williams driver. Will it be a Williams on pole for a second week in a row whilst I've been commentating? Right now, the Williams driver of Harsh goes to the pole and gets then, sets the benchmark for everyone behind. But Scarito is improving as well out there. So Scarito is on a slight improvement. But look how little ERS he's got, only 40%. So is that enough to even complete the lap? I'm not really too sure. Is it enough to complete it competitively? Who knows? But Scarito is currently also on a flying lap, but is now a tenth and a bit down. So Scarito looks out. Ramen then, is he going to be able to do it? I think Scarito is not going to be able to get it, as he will cross the line. About now, he peels off into the pit lane, so Scarito is out of this run for pole. But Ramen isn't out of a run. Ramen is improving, and Ramen will then go to the line. He will go foot to the floor as he's down, literally draining that battery pack, literally right to the line, keeps it to the shortest run to the line. Can Raman take pole? No, but improves up into P2. So Raman goes P2, then Scarito gets third, Harsh takes first, and it's a Williams for a second week in a row on pole, then both in the casual division and in Division 1. So Harsh then takes the pole for Williams, Raman takes second, and Scarito takes third, and that is qualifying over. Well, that was a pretty decent qualifying overall. I enjoyed it. Hope you enjoyed the commentary. If you've got any comments, please leave them down in the comment section. Be always nice to interact with anyone. If you want to leave any comments on the channel or in the live section. If you're new around, I do ask if you could subscribe to the channel. Also go to GRL's Twitch channel. That would be great, and follow them if you don't mind. Also, again, there is a link in already, the live chat, so if you want to join the Discord and become a member of GRL, then please do so through that link, and obviously become a member of GRL then. So, yeah. Grid rundown then. Harsh for Canada is on pole for Williams, then that is a brilliant qualifying for him. Raman is second, third is Scarito, fourth is Das, fifth is Wiki, sixth is Ivy, seventh Anton, eighth Marshall, ninth Danny, and Haytham rounds up the top 10 then. So, I think the formation lap probably is going to be off, so we're probably going to be straight into the action then here. Overall, I'm not really too sure. We'll soon find out anyway whether the formation lap is on or off. But yeah, I imagine it will be off due to, you know, the glitch. It sometimes can cause, not always causes, but sometimes can. And yeah, obviously, well, we'll be straight into the action for what will be 30 something, 36 laps, I think, of Brazil. So we're literally just waiting on the drivers to select their strategies, sort their fuel loads out, and all of that stuff. All of the nerdy stuff, really. That's what we should call it, nerdy sort of stuff. Like, you know, yeah. In terms of strategy, I reckon it'll be a one-stop around here. Hards to mediums, or even soft to mediums, or even mediums to softs if you want to. But it's 5 red lights, and it is lights out, and away we go. A bit of a delay in terms of the hold for the lights then, and Harsh makes a good start from pole as Raman then follows him through down into turn 1, and the AlphaTauri getting a bit swamped out then by the other Red Bull of Daz, and Daz goes through on the inside as the Alpine then is getting a good run, and so is the Alfa Romeo of Ivy then as the Alpine of Wiki comes through, and Wiki then goes up the inside, and there's a crash already at turn 4. A lot of cars off in the background. I think literally you've got the McLaren of Marshall off. Literally you've got a lot of cars off. A big collision between Wiki and it was Scarito then, as Scarito still plummets to the back of the grid then. I'm not sure if he is okay or what. Well, obviously he's not okay. He's going backwards. As Chartman is also going backwards here as well. So, yeah, that's not good for their race. But up front already, Harsh has got a 7/10 lead. And look also at the gap that both of our two leaders have pulled out already. It's already a 2.8 second lead. 2.9. Could be 3 seconds as we cross the line. It is 3 seconds as we cross the line. And those two are flying up front in the lead. Then further back, we've got Wiki who's currently P4, Danny, who's 5th, and Ivy Whiffle, who's around again for a second time. So Ivy really having a bad day out there, as this will allow the Gamer and Anton to go up into 8th as well. So yeah, Ivy Whiffle having a bit of a bad one out there so far in these early laps. And Iron Marshall, this is helping out Iron Marshall, who was down, but seems to have somewhat recovered his race. And yeah, going back to the leaders then, the gap is now coming down between Ramman and Harsh. What is now a 6/10 of a lead. Obviously, race is different to qualifying. Qualifying is always about that one lap, of course, whereas, obviously the race is more about, looking after your tyres, looking after your fuel load, and just, exploiting the pace when you've got the pace. As Raman sets the fastest lap already of a 1:11.1, and a little bit of a lag there, but I'm not really sure how much that will be affected. And is anyone out? I'm not really too sure. Divine driving across the grass like a rally driver then, and pretty sure he hasn't signed up to be a rally driver today, but he's certainly doing a bit of rallying out there today. So yeah, that's a pretty, well, not a good thing for Divine, who I'm sure will be disappointed in how his race started. Both Aston Martins plummeting to the back of the field. And that's been a thing as of late. Literally, the other week it was the two McLarens. The week before it was the two Hasses and Alfa Romeos having bad races. It seems to be coming in 2 by 2 this season. A little bit like that song, they came in 2 by 2. But yeah, literally. But talking about 2 by 2, right now Harsh and Raman is pulling away 2 by 2. Literally, they are flying so far. Looking at the gap then, back to the leader, and already got a 4-second gap over the other cars. And, Daz is currently 3rd, so a good day for Red Bull so far. Wiki then is currently 4th, and we've got another yellow flag. Again, a lot of yellow flags out there, but so far no one's retired so far, and no one's caused a safety car. So obviously the laps are rolling by nice and quickly. Obviously, how will that affect the front two in terms of, their race if there was a safety car? Well, certainly hinder their good start, but so far, this is, well, sort of the closest battle. The closest battle on track. Let's have a look who's got the closest battle on track at the moment. And currently, it is actually the front two, to be fair. So, currently, the front two of Harsh and, Raman is the closest battle on track, technically speaking. In terms of, the closest 3-car battle on track, well, we've got these 3 currently in a bit of a train at the moment. And then further back, you've got Wayne, the Gamer. Marshall is now up to 8th. He's making actually good progress. In fact, we'll have a few laps on board with Marshall to see the progress he can make further up the field, because a bit of a bad start, but I think he's kept the car in one piece, kept it out the wars, and is now on a charge by the looks of it. Currently up to 8th, or back up to 8th, and is he closing that gap on the Gamer, on the Mercedes driver? Well, we're going to go on board with him and just, follow his race in terms of how it is going. But yeah, the Gamer's also picked up a 3-second penalty, so Marshall is closing in actually on the Gamer right now. And that gap is coming down quite nicely, so should be within the DRS this lap. Obviously, DRS is activated. DRS become activated after 3 clean laps during a dry race. So obviously, we're well past that 3-lap limit now. We're now into lap 5, so DRS is well and truly active. And will this be a good opportunity down into turn 1, using the slipstream, using the ERS to overtake? Then can he get the move down into turn 1? That will be the big question. Or will he wait for turn 4? Not really sure, well, which one is a better opportunity. Probably turn 1 is the better of the 2 opportunities overall between the 2. of turns 1 and 4. But turn 4 is certainly a good overtaking opportunity, as well as currently he chases down both the Mercedes and the AlphaTauri here then, and a little bit wide there on the track limits, and currently going up the hill here, and is all over that Mercedes gearbox now. As Mercedes a little bit messy through here, so this is really going to put the Mercedes driver under pressure of Gamer then in this final part of the lap, if he's not within a second, and getting a bit squirmish on the exit. So Marshall right now will be seeing this, he will note this, and this is going to be a very, very good opportunity for Marshall down into turn 1 here, down into the first corner, get the job done nice and early. And I don't think there's going to be much way to defend this for Gamer then, as Marshall goes to the inside and doesn't make the move. So Marshall doesn't have enough pace then down the straight to get it done then this time. But this has also allowed Gamer to now get into the DRS of the car ahead of them, of Wayne, who's currently, you know, the car in this, like, well, at the head of this train at the moment. And Wayne currently is running P6. This is so far like the closest battle we've kind of got on the track, as I think we've just missed the overtake actually of Das and Wiki. Wiki up into P3 then now. So yeah, Wiki currently running P3. Meanwhile, out front, Raman is just falling away slightly from the top 2. So yeah, from the top 2. Yeah, between the top 2 I meant. Raman's falling away just a tad here, as we're going later on into the later stages of the stint then. Is that due to the fact maybe Raman took a bit too much out of his tyres in those opening, what, 2 or 3 laps? Could be. You know, maybe Harsh was, you know, sort of just holding a bit back in terms of his pace. And now you can see kind of what that has done for Harsh. It's just allowed Harsh to pull away, you know, and yeah, you know, just extend his lead, make it a little bit more, well, make life a little bit more comfortable for himself. As these two battle away for currently what is P3, as Danny's dropped off these two then. So Danny is currently in 5th. Currently we've got trains out there, we just don't have anyone overtaken at the moment, which hopefully the race will spice up quite nicely in the latter stages. But let's have a look. Can Justin Oman go into 11th, get the move done? Obviously only top 10 get points in this race, so currently the Alfa Romeo driver of Per, Daza, is currently getting points. As there's a little bit of a fight between these two then going on. Just No Man goes up the inside of Haytham then and takes the position away, and that could be key. But Haytham will have the DRS to fight back then, as Haytham will get the DRS, opens up that rear wing of the Ferrari, and then takes back then what is P11. But then this will allow Just No Man to get the DRS on the back straight, and we'll have the DRS down into turn 4. Here comes Just No Man. Wrong way we looked there with the camera, I meant to look the other way, but oh well. And there we go, Just No Man up into 11th. That should be move well and truly done then here in this battle for P11. And let's have a look how these two are getting on, because these two probably the next closest battle on the track. Scarint's got a lot of you know, DRS, not DRS, ERS. He's also got now a lot of DRS as well, for good measure. But yeah, Das has got a lot of ERS at the moment to deploy. A lot more than his rival, so that is going to be maybe beneficial. Maybe he's just been, you know, biding his time sort of thing, you know, there in P4, waiting for, you know, just a little bit of a later opportunity, looking after his tyres maybe. Could be a very interesting factor, the second Red Bull in this race. so far, as Rahman and Harsh are certainly miles out in front so far. So looking at the gap to the leader sort of thing, so currently if the leader was to pit now, would come out probably just in that fight for P6 at the moment, which obviously wouldn't be ideal as Chartman picks up a 3-second penalty. So having a look now at the penalties, and overall Jolly has got 6 seconds, Gamer's got 6 seconds, Spartan the Gamer, and then we've got Wayne with 3, Danny with 3, and Das with 3, and Chartman with 3 seconds. Obviously 3-second penalties could come back to bite them later on in the race, which, you know, currently, let's see if it affects anything. So overall, so would mean, well, Gamer would currently be demoted down into 9th, potentially even 10th at the moment. Overall, between the others, I don't really think it affects anyone so far in this race, but Harsh is doing an amazing job currently as the race leader, then as Marshall, then up now into 7th, and been quite quiet in this race, but is making progress, and I like that, you know, a lot. You know, I've got to say, you know, I like it when, you know, drivers aren't necessarily, you know, just chopping through the field nicely, fighting his own battles, you know, doing a very, very good job at it, and yeah, you've got to have a bit of respect for that, you know, overall, you know, doing a solid race out there, currently, for Marshall, who is currently running P7, got absolutely no penalties, and, you know, does he even have a warning? That's the ultimate question. I'm not too sure. Obviously, only he will know, but he's a little bit under pressure here from the Mercedes. Then, as the Mercedes will come back through, then into the next corner they go, into turn 1, and the Mercedes is on the inside. He has to yield the McLaren driver of Marshall, and Marshall is back down to P8, but he will get a better drive out of then the Senna S's, and then goes down the inside into turn 4, and the Mercedes off the track. Still, I think was maybe trying to fight it a little bit, but couldn't, obviously, and that is Marshall back up into P7. So could these two scrap? Maybe Wayne gets away. That's a potential, obviously, here, as Skorin and Das go side by side. Skorin gets the position over Wiki then here, but Wiki is going to have the DRS, so he will be the one benefiting from this. Which way will he go? Will he go to the left, or will he go to the right? And a little bit of a late move. I'm not really sure what Wiki's doing there exactly. I think he was a bit undecided himself, but now Das will have the DRS, and Das will come back immediately, and these two are certainly fighting very, very hard for this P3. Hopefully they don't go overboard, because sometimes that can happen. You know, you can be fighting for a position, you know, you're having a nice fight out there, and then, you know, it just goes a bit overboard in terms of the battle, and one driver just goes a bit too far over the other, and you then get into a bit of a pickle, as you'd say. And yeah, and Marshall now up into P6. So Marshall is up into P6. Maybe a top 5 is on the cards for Marshall here during this race. He's certainly looking strong. I don't think a podium for Marshall, but yeah, top 5, that would be a very good result for Marshall. But Harsh, our race leader, is now 4 seconds clear, as then Wiki and Das currently still fighting it out for this P3 position. These two are probably the best fight so far going on the track. So far it's only a DRS battle sort of thing, as Wiki goes down the inside then at turn 1, but then Skorin will have the position then probably back on the next straight. Probably use a bit of that ERS as well for good measure. Probably also be using the DRS then. Can he get position back? No, he can't. So he'll remain behind then here in the Red Bull. And these two will continue to fight another day. So in terms of pit stops, if Harsh was to come in, he would probably come out, well, I don't want to say ahead of his teammate, but would come out just a couple of tenths, maybe a second behind his teammate at the moment. So Harsh really does have a very good pit stop window here in terms of if he wants to make his stop now. He's done 14 laps on those medium compound tyres, but he decides to continue on for another lap and extend what is his advantage. As Ranman does the same, but obviously he's currently trailing by almost 5 seconds here, as Wiki and Wiki currently remains P4, so bit surprised Das hasn't got, well, Sprint Das hasn't got past the Alpine again of Wiki, and Danny currently a bit more further behind those two, who's in P5 at the moment, as Marshall currently without any penalties in this race overall, so currently he's a long way off the podium at the moment, so that's certainly out of reach. But in terms of fifth, that's certainly not out of reach. As Wayne gets a 3-second, and someone's also spun, I think it was Jolly, maybe, I'm not really too sure. Let's have a look what's going back on down the field. So Chartman is ghosted, not really sure why, but he's still driving somewhat fast. I'm not really sure, if he needs a new invite to the race. I haven't even noticed if he does need a new invite. Not really sure whether or not to invite. I think I am going to send an invite just in case, because I am like that personally. If I've got someone, I'll just invite them just in case. Right, Chapman's got an invite, so obviously, yes. If he has disconnected, hopefully, which isn't the case, but he can get back into this race, of course, which I think is important. Everyone can rejoin the race, as Harsh right now still currently leads away from Raman, from Wiki, from Skurint, from Danny, from Marshall, from Spandan, or Spandon, the gamer, from Anton, from Pebiza, from Just Noman, from Haytham then. And currently the hard runners aren't in the best of the best positions at the moment. I'm not going to lie, these hard runners, they will have obviously the medium tyres, obviously, for their second stop, as Wiki is now into the pit lane. So Wiki is into the pits, probably going for the hard tyres here, and he puts on the hards, and that will be surely to take him to the end of the race, as Spandon moves up. Who else is in? I think it's Danny, who's also in here. So yep, Danny is in, also going to put on the hards, and that will be him trying to probably protect a little bit of a lead from Marshall, because he's probably on a similar pace with Marshall at the moment, and ultimately, even if he undercuts Marshall by a lap, or even if it's by 2 laps, at least Marshall, with that 3-second penalty, can just build a bit of a buffer, so, it's going to be a bit more of an uphill task for Marshall than will be for, obviously, will be for the AlphaTauri, for the Williams driver, of Danny. Then that's what I was going to say. It'd be a bit more of an uphill task for Marshall over Danny here, as obviously Harsh is now in the lead, and he will come out, I'm pretty sure, will come out well ahead then here in P2, then as the P2 driver stops, and Marshall is now in. So all the drivers on those mediums making their stops here for the first time and the only time during this race. So on goes his hards, and he will be back out into the lead. or not into the lead, Harshley's out into the lead once Rahman's made the stop. Now, what does Rahman do? That's, I suppose, the next big question overall, because Rahman is currently first, overall, but, ultimately, is he fighting for the win today? I'm not really sure, if I'm honest. He's not really in a position. I honestly don't know what Rahman does here, because in effect, yes, he is fighting for the win, but in another sense, he's actually quite far off. If he stops now, I reckon he comes out 8 seconds behind already. So, you're talking an 8-second deficit here. Back to the leader, maybe even more. What does he do? Does he go long and try to, bank on a safety car? I suppose that's all he can do. It's not going to affect him too much if he does that. He should easily get P2. But I think that's the only thing he can do here. Try to extend this stint as much as possible, because otherwise he's practically out of this race in terms of for the win. I don't see anyone beating Harsh here, so yeah, Rahman goes on for another lap, and yeah, Rahman's probably doing what I'm exactly thinking, here in terms of what is his plan. He's probably going for this strategy of, go long, bank on a safety car, and pray to God sort of thing. That's the only thing he can do here. Otherwise, there is absolutely nothing he can do to win this race. I don't believe, at least. The only other thing he can do is go to the softs at this point. Try to extend this stint to the softs, which is only about 4 more laps. So if he goes, 4 more laps, goes to the softs, but then by the time he comes out, he's going to be, 20 seconds, maybe, no, not 20 seconds. He's going to be about a good 15 seconds behind. It's only going to be about 5 or 6 laps fresher tyres, so it's not much. Overall, personally, I'm not really sure too much what he can do, as not really sure who that is, whether that was Divine or Chartman spinning one of the Aston Martins. Those Aston Martins have had a dreadful day. But yeah, he continues to travel on then, Rahman here, in his hunt for maybe a win. Currently right now, I'd like to say Harsh is deeply in control of this race. He's got an 11-second gap back to, 12-second gap back to, obviously, Wiki. He's got a 9-second deficit to Rahman, who's still got to stop, obviously, on those 20 lap hold mediums. But yeah, Divine has now retired from the session, and he's obviously left also at the same time. Fair enough. That's a fair move, I suppose. As we're seeing a bit of a move, I think, here on track. I'm not sure if that is on track or that's the pit lane. And I'm not really sure what's going on here with Marshall, actually. Is he in any good position? He's still currently 11th, but appears to be further behind now compared to Danny. Obviously, we know these drivers, these three, are all on the hards and still yet to get to, still got to make their stops. But I think currently, if I'm right in saying, Spandan the Gamer would come out ahead of Marshall. Same with, Spandan the Gamer definitely come out ahead, as Rahman now stops and goes on to the soft tyres. So, yeah, there we go then. That answers our question. That's what Rahman is going to go for then. To the end of the race, comes out in P2, and he will be a long, long way behind the overall race leader. In fact, comes out P3. Does he even lose position to his teammate? No, but I imagine he'll be very, very quickly back past the Alpine to get back up into P2. But yeah, the Alpine overall, is, not going to have much really to fight or say here. But it's 12.6 seconds. Is that doable? Is that catchable? I would say he can get it down to 6 seconds. I'm not sure he's able to get it back down to, to win this race. I'm just not confident in that. I'm sorry to say. But if he can get it down to 6, I think he'll take that overall. As he easily breezes past then. Wiki, but is that a bit of a mistake doing it where he's done it? Because obviously Wiki will have the DRS, will have 2 lots of DRS, but no, he is gone. He is literally gone. Literally. You look at the gap and it's already like 9/10 of a second. Yeah, that's crazy. He's gone. So, yeah, that battle's over, overall. But yeah, looking at where Spandan the gamer has come out, and yeah, he's come out well and truly behind then, Danny, but is ahead of Ian Marshall. So Ian Marshall's race going a bit in the wrong direction again, which I was praising him earlier for having a bit of a silent killer sort of race. Silent but deadly in this race, doing nice progression up the field. Went down to the back of the field, got kind of caught out in that first lap, turn 4 shenanigans, and has sort of came through the field ever since then, but appears to be going a bit backwards here, and it doesn't look good if you ask me. If I wouldn't like to be in Ian Marshall's sort of seat here. Overall. As Raman then takes the fastest lap, and that gap is coming down quite quickly. It's 9.6 seconds, so maybe this race isn't over just yet. Maybe there is still something to unfold here during this race, but yeah, overall, Raman currently trails by 9.3 seconds, done the fastest lap overall now in this race. Will that be challenged? Who knows? Maybe someone will fancy it. As here goes Anton on Ian Marshall and around the outside, swoops around the outside of them there. Can Ian Marshall get a bit of a fight back down into turn 4? Obviously, looking at the ERS situation, Anton will have plenty of ERS to defend this with. So here goes Ian Marshall, but that ERS defense is well and truly, valid. And there we go. Anton keeps P11 then there, and that then Anton nicely just only a position down on getting a point here so far for the last point paying position. As these two going side by side, Danny and Wayne, and there goes Danny around the outside, can he? And there's a little bit of contact between the pair. Danny though does go around the outside, still a little bit off the circuit then for Danny. I'm not sure who will get the DRS here. I think Danny's got the DRS, and Danny then will then have the DRS and has to lift out a little bit as Wayne goes a bit defensive arguably. Danny inside, Danny sends it. Danny gets the position and more contact between the two. These two just can't stop making contact as Wayne then makes a bit of contact with Danny. But here comes then Wayne. He is literally out of battery pack. We've already seen these two make contact before. This time Danny just gives up the position, but Danny going side by side again with Wayne, or trying to at least. These two are really having a bit of a dog scrap, but at the moment, these two are probably hurting themselves more than they're doing themselves any favours or good, as Danny then finding this the AlphaTauri driver of Wayne frustrating, and that is unfortunate for Danny, and even worse for Danny. He has now wedged his car in a position, unless he uses a what you call it, a little bit of a cheat there, sort of thing. Well, not a cheat, but a little bit of a what you call a reset to track. Then that was the only way he is going to get around that one. And Wayne, is now plummeting down the field. So yeah, I think Wayne is a bit over-aggressive there, in my opinion, if I'm going to be honest. I'm going to lay that one at Wayne's doorstep, because he's on... Well, let's just consider this. 10 lap hold softs, you know, you've got a guy who's on 9 lap hold hards, so you're probably not on the better tyre. You know, you've only cost yourself time, mate, there. I'm not going to lie, that was pretty silly fighting, and, you know what, I don't want to say that's a bit of karma, almost crashing into the barrier there, into the pit lane, but, yeah, a bit of karma, overall. Like, because, you know, it don't make sense. You're on 9 lap hold, you know, softs. You're not going to be able to fight that. You know, whatever you do, yeah, a bit like this battle between Harsh and Ramen. Currently, like, Harsh and Ramen currently on 2 different strategies, but it makes sense why Harsh and Ramen is on 2 different strategies, and we've got now a virtual safety car. So a virtual safety car is deployed. Will this turn into a full safety car? I don't think so, but Jolly is out. Jolly is the second driver to retire. Technically, yeah, he is the second driver. So Jolly is the second driver to retire during this race, but yeah, it just don't really make sense, you know, for, you know, a driver to, you know, do that. Like, you're on 9 lap hold softs and you're fighting as if you're, you know, fighting for P1 or P2. You know, it's just stupid, you know, that sort of racing, you know. And I'm only calling it what it is. You know, I don't like to say, like, speak as strongly as that, but, you know, I feel that's a reasonable thing. But, interestingly, our race leader is into the pit lane here. Is Ramman coming in as well? Yes, he is. So, the top 2 are in. Will anyone stay out? Well, you know, ultimately, if I was actually Skrin or Wiki, I would have probably stayed out there if I was them. Because, you know, ultimately, they've chosen to come in, all our top 4. So, overall, it's pretty equal, if you know what I mean, between the top 4. But I would have stayed out, personally. You know what I mean? If I was Wiki or definitely Skrin, I would have stayed out. But, yeah. But look at the gap now between the top 2. And look how much closer it is. And, oh, right, okay. Okay, I now understand. On my screen, it's saying virtual safety car. And we've got a full safety car. Okay, makes a lot more sense now. I was about to say, you know, I thought that was a bit odd strategy calls, overall there. But the game telling me it's a virtual, and I was only looking at the virtual safety car sort of thing, and yeah, overall it's a full course safety car, so yeah, I'm not really sure if that also was also on other people's screens, but yeah, game throwing me off there a little bit of a curveball, which overall, you know, but let's have a look then who this benefits. So obviously it benefits probably Raman the most because it sort of gives him a chance to go and win this one, and he was actually pretty quick during the opening number of laps, overall from what I recall. But Harsh has been certainly the class of the field today. Skirin and Wiki certainly will have a good opportunity here. And in terms of the race, it will certainly rescue Danny's race somewhat. Because, yeah, he was obviously somewhat down on that, well, during this. So, yeah, it's now saying safety car. That's good, only now. So, we do have another stream after this race at 8 PM for Division 1. Just to let you know, I am going to be taking over as I believe the lead commentator for Division 1. Last week, Lewis won, who took out 6 months due to some personal circumstances. I'm not going to obviously go into details as to why he took 6 months out, but yeah, some personal circumstances he had, obviously, you know, but to come back and to win in the way that he did impressed me an awful lot. So, yeah, certainly impressed by him. Whether or not I think he's racing tonight, let me check. I know we are currently watching Division 1, Casual Division, sorry. Is he racing tonight? So, Sir Waffler isn't. We know that. Is Lewis racing? I'm not sure whether he is or isn't, but yeah, if he is, certainly impressed me the other day, and I believe safety car is in this lap, so it will be Harsh's prerogative then when he goes, and Harsh has gone now. A little bit of maybe a speeding up and slowing down there of the cars. I'm not sure whether, well, I know you're not allowed to do that, but I'm not sure whether it really affected anyone. Don't think it did, so probably get away with it. And there's a little bit of contact back here at the back between all of these. Who's caught up in that? I'm not really too sure, but yeah, certainly a lot of contact as now just No Man goes down the inside of Marshall, and so will Chartman, who will go up into P3. Into P11 then here. Chartman up into P11, so on the edge of points then, as Harsh already pulling away out about a 9/10 of a gap, and Das is now up into P3, so Das is certainly one of the major benefits of this late safety car. 6 laps to go, and there's another yellow flag in that middle sector, so could that cause another safety car? I don't think it will. So Harsh then currently leads them around, and there's another yellow flag, and I'm pretty sure that's going to be the end of the Alfa Romeo drivers race. But Chartman currently up into the points paying positions then here in this late on sort of like race. Chartman is back into the points and currently is doing a splendid job then here. Can he maybe get even P9? Well, we're about to find out. He's going to have the ERS, won't have DRS, but here comes Marshall. Marshall goes down the inside. Marshall on the inside. He pushes his rival a little bit wide onto the exit curb over there, and that was, though, a nice clean move otherwise, and gets the points then as Marshall now up into the top 10 on those mediums, on a bit of a harder compound compared to also the drivers in front, plus doesn't have a penalty. So right now he could be certainly someone to watch, as I've just realised Spandon the Gamer has got a drive-through, so that is really going to hurt his race. Same with Wayne and Danny, who currently got 9 seconds of penalty, so Marshall could be on for a top 6 result here, most definitely, for this race. Obviously Chartman could also be on for points as well. But then here comes Marshall again on Danny. Marshall gets the move done nice and early into the braking zone, and Marshall up into P8 again. This is what I was saying. A bit of a silent but a deadly killer in this race he's been so far for Marshall. And Marshall is doing a brilliant job then here up into P8, and is certainly showing, his fight. But Danny comes back with a late lunge into turn 4 and gets the position back. Does have a 9-second penalty though, so is this really worth the battle? I'm not really too sure, but overall currently he would drop out of the points if this was to be the case. And Wayne is off. Wayne is practically out. Wayne then here drops all the way back to P14, as Wayne then is pretty much out of this race then here. And Iron Marshall then currently P8, then Danny pulling away a little bit from those two, as Chartman then has the DRS. Can he go down the inside? No, obviously not, a bit too far back. But now Marshall's going to be closer to the back of Danny this time around. Then here comes Danny, and Danny is taking God knows what sort of line, as he's now just weaving all over the place. Oh no, you can't do that, man. You cannot do that. I'm sorry. That was disgraceful. You know, yeah, that most definitely for Danny is going to be a race ban, probably. I don't know what the penalties are or the punishment will be, but that is disgraceful. Absolutely disgraceful. You know, to really, like, I don't know what got into his head there. That's a moment of pure madness. I wouldn't be even shocked if he's kicked out of the league for that. I'd like to think so, because that, you know, you just cannot go and do. I'm sorry, you cannot go and do. And Wayne is also, I think, disqualified for exceeding track limits or DNF. I'm not really too sure, but yeah, Wayne is out, and we've got another safety car. So we are going to have literally a shootout here for them all. I'm not really sure whether Marshall can get back into it, whether there'll be enough time, you know, but that for Marshall must be very, very disappointing, because he was having a decent race, and I feel sorry for Marshall there, you know, literally, who was up into 8th, probably could have been as high as 6th or 7th, and yeah, that is just pure, absolutely disgrace from Danny there. I don't want to be too harsh either, but no, I think I am right to call it what it is. That is disgraceful driving, you know, disgusting sort of stuff. You know, that is vile behaviour in a league race, and you cannot do that. And yeah, the safety car is in this lap, and unfortunately for Marshall, he's going to be absolutely nowhere on this safety car restart as we go to the green. You know, he's going to be a good 20 seconds off. And yeah, I feel sorry for him, because, you know, it's basically the end of his race, unless there's more drama up ahead. We have seen drama today, but when does Harsh go? Harsh goes now and is gone. So who's going to go with him? And Wiki goes down the inside, a little bit of contact between the two, between the pair then here. On the outside then, Wiki goes. Raman then will have a bit more ERS then on the exit, and Paisbar is out of the session. So Paisbar is out. So this might give an opportunity to Marshall to gain back one of those positions, maybe get a top 10, but he's got to be so careful here, Raman, because right now there are so many drivers, Ivy Whipple on the attack. There are just so many drivers who are on the attack right now, and Raman's lost a position, getting all squirmy out of that turn, out of turn, I think that's 8 through 9, and Raman then down into 4th, losing out the podium. Both Red Bulls having a dreadful restart. This has really affected their race. That action from Danny there, very, very unfortunate. But Harsh then will start his final tour, who's led literally start to finish. Done an absolutely beautiful job today. Took pole by an absolute mile in terms of league standards, you know, today, and has been the class act of the field. Cannot fault this guy, Harsh, here. Certainly getting my driver of the day. Not sure whether the game will give him driver of the day, but yeah, Harsh really deserves driver of the day today, because he has been. You know, and, you know, no one has laid a single glove on him. As Marshall will get points then, by the looks of it, as these are all battling out. Chartman up to 6th. So Chartman could even be high as a 5th here. So that would be very good news for Chartman. Chartman would be very pleased if he gets 5th, I would have thought. And Harsh then, coming around then, final few corners for I don't know whether it's his first win this season, but it'll certainly be the first win that he'll have with me as the commentator this season for the casual division. Harsh then comes out of the final corner, out of the final real corner, I should say, through the final bend, and Harsh takes victory in Sao Paulo at the Carlos Pace, the Jose Carlos Pace. Wiki comes P2. Whiffle completes the top 3. Raman just misses out on a podium. Chartman takes home P5. Scarito P6. Das is in P7, Just No Man at P8. Marshall gets points after having his race destroyed in P9, and I'm not sure who came home P10. I think it was Haytham. It was Haytham, and P10 goes to the Ferrari driver of Haytham. There we go then. Driver of the day, according to the game, was Marshall. You know what? I would have agreed with that if Marshall, you know, didn't, not didn't do anything wrong, but, kind of didn't make maybe as many mistakes. He did make a few mistakes, but my driver of the day is the Canadian of Harsh. Harsh is certainly done himself proud today, and that is GRL Casual Division done then for today. So there is the podium celebrations, and we'll now do a good rundown of your top 10, because obviously top 10 only get points here. Harsh then takes the win, gets the full 26 points, not 25, well, it gets 25 as well, but also picks up the one for the fastest lap. Wiki comes home P2, Ivy Whiffle P3, Ramen P4, Chartman P5, Scarito P6, Skirin Daz in P7, Just No Man P8, I Am Marshall P9 in the McLaren, and P10 then is Haytham. Rounding up then the non-finishers, we got Jolly and Divine. Also, we got Danny and Wayne. These two, did not finish either. And Pesbar comes home P13. And then that is your GRL Casual Division done for today. As I say, Harsh for me, driver of the day. Done a brilliant job, led pretty much lights to flag. Absolutely fantastic from him. I Am Marshall done also a very wicked job. I give him, a lot of praise there. Probably would have been driver of the day if it wasn't, unfortunately, for that late incident. It would have been split between the two. I would have said both of them, deserve it. In fact, both of them do deserve it in some respects. But for me, Harsh just edges it with the fact he had a flawless race out front. And, cannot fault him in how he drove that. And, well done to Harsh. Well done to all our drivers that participated. Not a good race from that Danny, who, I don't know what happened there. Not going to go back into it anyway. That's in the past now. But, see you all next time. Well, see you soon, actually. Come back at 8 p.m. Same channel in literally just 40 minutes' time. For what will be then Division 1 and Race 2 then of the day. See you all in about 40 minutes.